Today we're going to look at the impact of the internet on marketing. And you just can't think about marketing without looking at how how the internet has made such a profound effect on the way that marketers operate. So we're going to talk about some of the forces that have affected us in the internet age, explain how some of the companies have responded to these new technologies, and we're going to talk about sort of some e-business and e-marketing strategies, and talk about e-commerce domains and how some of these companies are using the internet in order to provide customer value. Remember, that's a key concept, is providing value to customers. Now, I've talked about some various e-concepts. I talked about e-business and e-marketing and e-commerce. So let's define these terms. Now, e-business is sort of an overall umbrella term to talk about sort of any aspect of business that's conducted over the internet or using an electronic platform. So it's an overall umbrella. Under that is e-commerce. Now, e-commerce is actually conducting transactions over the internet. So it's just a very narrow part of it. It's the buying and selling of products over the internet. E-marketing is involved in the sort of communications or the promotion about selling products over the internet, and so it involves getting information from consumers, but also distributing information to consumers about various products. And e-purchasing or e-procurement is where companies are buying goods and services for their own use. So the buying or procurement of goods in their operation. Now, the benefit to using the internet is, I think some of these are fairly obvious. If you've ever bought a product over the internet, you realize how convenient it is. I just bought a product a couple of days ago for my daughter, and I found that instead of getting in the car and going out to a shopping mall and trying to compare prices between different stores, I could do all that from my computer. I was able to go to several stores in the comfort of my own home. It was very convenient. Was private. I could look at the information at my leisure. I found that there was a great deal of information about the products, much more on the internet sites than I could probably get by talking to somebody, and that I got immediate results. I found the product that I wanted. I put in my credit card information, and then I was able to sort of click a button, and the order was processed. And then the interesting thing was I received an email to confirm it, and I was able to then go on to another website and track the delivery of that product. So it was all very, very convenient, and it's an easy way to shop for some goods. For other products that you might want to try on or might want to sort of look at, it may not be. But for certain types of products, the internet provides a great benefit to buyers. From the seller's point of view, a lot of sellers have very substantial websites and have built great relationships with customers and be able to provide all sorts of additional services and information. A good example is Amazon.com. They began selling books, and they sort of expanded the product offering that they have. But they have tremendous relationships with customers. There's reviews on books and comments by other customers on various sort of literature aspects. And there's online book clubs. All those sorts of things provide value to customers, and help companies build relationships with those customers. For some companies, there's great cost savings by using the internet, in that they don't have expensive retail stores to operate, although the jury is still out a little bit in terms of how profitable some of these companies are. But companies like Amazon.com are certainly starting to generate profit. It's quite speedy, that you can ship products immediately to customers, and you can acquire products quite quickly, and provides flexibility. But probably the greatest benefit is that you're able to get to target markets from around the world. And the downside is that you're competing with companies from around the world, but it gives you a greater number of customers that you can access. So let's look at the sort of domains of e-commerce. E-commerce is the transaction part of it, the buying and selling. Now, I think most of you are familiar with the business to consumer, the B2C. That's an individual going on a website and buying a book from Amazon.com. This is where the consumer is buying it from the business. Probably most of you don't realize that the largest chunk of e-commerce is the business to business. So this is companies buying products, and automobile companies, for example, buying tires and parts for their cars. A lot of that information happens online. Company or organizations like the automotive industry have what's called a private trading network, where other companies that are supplying the automobile manufacturers go into this private network, and there's buying and selling. There's something called a reverse auction that happens, where a company will say, like Ford Motor Company, say that we need 20,000 doors for our new product, and they let all these suppliers bid on it, except the prices are going down. It's like a reverse auction. And then once the company has been selected to supply it, then the order processing and the transactions all happen online. They're able to see each other's inventories, that sort of thing. And so for business to business transactions, it's saved a tremendous amount of time, and it's become very, very efficient for organizations to operate this way. And that's why it's the biggest part of the internet. Open trading networks allow sort of any organization to get into the trading or the commerce aspect. Consumer to consumer, an example would be eBay, where one consumer puts a product on and another consumer can buy it, and it's very big in certain aspects. And finally, consumer to business. Now this may be kind of odd to think, well, how does that work? The example I like to think about is Travelocity. This is a company that provides travel services, but what happens is a consumer goes online, says, I'd like to travel from New York to Chicago. I'm willing to pay $100 for that ticket, and Travelocity then goes to various airlines and says, would you be willing to sell this person a seat for $100? And so if they are, especially if it's late notice or if the plane is going to fly with some empty seats, $100 is better than nothing, and so they might accept your bid. So that's actually from a consumer business perspective, even though the consumer is actually paying the price. So those are the typical domains: business to consumer, business to business, again the biggest one, consumer to consumer like eBay, and consumer to business. Now when you look at the channels of distribution, sort of conventional retailing is moving from a seller to some sort of bricks and mortar, some sort of physical building like a Canadian Tire building, to the final consumer. Where e-commerce is where we're conducting that transaction over the internet, and so that's considered a clicks only instead of a bricks only channel of distribution. And then we have the option of using both clicks and bricks, and where a company may have a retail outlet. And again, if I go to Canadian Tire, they also have an online component as well, so you can buy products both ways depending on what your needs are. For some products, it might be more convenient to order online. For other products, you might want to go to the store and physically buy the product. And a lot of these companies, if you buy something online, you can return it to the store, so that they provide the sort of convenience of the store as well as the convenience of purchasing online. Now, the revenue that comes to companies purchasing, or come to companies that operate on the internet, is not only revenue. There are all sorts of other revenue sources, from sponsorship deals, alliances, selling advertising space. This is a screenshot from the Air Miles website, and if you'll notice, there are sort of little ads for Nova Hotel and for Diana Krall's new CD. All those are revenue generating sources for Air Miles, in that they sell that space, or they get paid for every time someone clicks through to another website, or these alliance deals are set up so that there's revenue